like, y'all know, because I want all my kids to be light skinned. And let me just say something, all my kids are light skinned, okay? But it's just like, well, I ain't gonna lie, the last one, he didn't make the shade requirement. So let me stop playing. No, the last one was, I'm gonna tell the truth, y'all. Alright, my last kid was a brown skinned kid. He was dark brown. I'll be honest with y'all, because it's been years, and I feel like I can be honest with y'all now, because like it's just like, it's time for me to tell the truth. My last kid was dark skinned. He wasn't dark skinned. He was not dark skinned like dark like chocolate, you know what I mean? But he was dark brown. Oh. What did you what? But again, that's not the reason I gave him up for adoption, y'all. The color of his skin being dark was not the reason I gave him up for adoption. What are you laughing about? You're sick. You're sick. What are you laughing about? That's not the reason why I gave him up. Because it's not. They think that we are a colorist couple. We're not a colorist couple.
That's like somebody prefer like with chicken. Some people
you keep saying, but I got dark skin supporters. I don't want a dark child. Did I say they can't have a dark child? No. They can have what they want, bitch. So what? Listen. I know y'all want to try to deter my support. Y'all want to try to make my supporters stop supporting me. So y'all about to, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to change the way that I feel for nobody. So if that means people that's dark skinned want to stop supporting me, then that's just that. But yes, I don't want dark skinned kids. I just don't. That's my personal preference. Thank you, boo.
Skin color is a highly heritable human trait, and global variation in skin pigmentation has been shaped by natural selection, migration, and admixture. Ethnically diverse African populations harbor extremely high levels of genetic and phenotypic diversity and skin pigmentation. Today, I would like to discuss how some people are obsessed with skin color stratification to the point where they basically only want a light-skinned baby. And people go to the extremes to kind of maintain this skin color social hierarchy. There is a social media influencer named Queen Ops, and she is someone who's very controversial. She created her Instagram back in like 2014, and she has over 190,000 followers on her Instagram account. And one of her most popular Instagram reels revolves around her having a bath with her partner. And it earned more than 600,000 views. And she's just like a big TikToker in general. So she basically got on the internet and talked about how she basically would be horrified if she had a dark-skinned child and would even give it away.
With chicken, some people
you keep saying, but I got dark skin supporters. I don't want a dark child. Did I say they can't have a dark child? No. They can have what they want, bitch. So what? Listen. I know y'all want to try to deter my support. Y'all want to try to make my supporters stop supporting me. So y'all about to, you know what I'm saying? But I'm not going to change the way that I feel for nobody. So if that means people that's dark skinned want to stop supporting me, then that's just that. But yes, I don't want dark skinned kids. I just don't. That's my personal preference. Thank you, boo. That's right. Equally. You have to get the job. I don't gotta move on. It's my life, bitch. Thank you, Mikasa. Who y'all think gonna get the job? So y'all telling me if a dark-skinned woman and a light-skinned woman go for a job where looks matter, who's gonna get hired? You know they just want to go against me. This shit is facts. This shit is facts. Stop acting like this color of your skin don't matter, bro. Stop lying. Stop lying. Apply equally.
There are so many like theories with Black people specifically on how they view dark skinned children. And a lot of people probably know that like Black aunties in general perpetuate colorism a lot of times and self hate through oohing and on over the skin color of a baby's ear. So basically, when babies are born, they will look at their ears and basically say, oh, this child is going to be dark or light, depending on like if there's a ring on their ear. And unfortunately, this was a real conversation I heard many times growing up. Family members comfortably talking about kids' skin color, who was light skinned as a baby, and who was Black from birth. They would carefully examine a newborn's ear tips and cuticles to discover how dark the child would be. Within group and between group prejudice in favor of lighter skin color, what feminist author Alice Walker calls colorism, is a global cultural practice emerging throughout European colonial and imperial history. Colorism is prevalent in countries as distant as Brazil and India. Then there's also this practice called, and forgive me for my pronunciation, blanqueamiento in Spanish or branqueamento in Portuguese, which both mean whitening. And it's a social, political, and economic practice used in many post-colonial countries in the Americas and Oceania to quote unquote improve the race. And it goes towards a supposed ideal of whiteness. Blanqueamiento is rooted in Latin America and is used more or less synonymously with racial whitening. However, this can be considered both symbolic and in the biological sense. Symbolically, blanqueamiento represents an ideology that emerged from legacies of European colonialism, described by Annibal Quijano's theory of coloniality of power, which caters to white dominance in social hierarchies. Its legacy is evident in forms as public as television and movie industries, which prefer to cast light-skinned people of color, and as private as the internalized thoughts of some Latino, South Asian, or Black parents who hope their babies grow up lighter skinned so their lives will be, quote unquote, just a little bit easier. Now, if you're like many new parents out there, you might have heard the age-old chatter around the water cooler or at family barbecues. People wanted to know your baby's future skin color. And they would say, again, look at their ears. Now, I'm going to read this article again about how people like obsess over. So it turns out that this belief has its roots in the idea that the skin at the tip of a baby's ear is thick enough to give a sneak peek into the melanin's true color, which is essentially the pigment determining our skin's hue. But real talk, many pediatricians and skin experts will raise an eyebrow at this. There isn't a plethora of scientific research backing up the ear tip theory. More often than not, it's based on observations and, let's be honest, a sprinkle of wishful thinking. However, it's worth noting that while the ear's color might show some hint towards future skin color, it isn't a foolproof indicator. A lot of factors into the mixed genes from both parents, ancestral background. To just understand it more scientifically, I found an article called Infant Skin Maturation, Preliminary Outcomes for Color and Biochemical Properties. And it says, babies turn the color of their ears after birth, and this may indicate their health. A baby's ear changes color due to melanocytes, which produce melanin, a natural pigment. Full-term newborn infant skin has a thick epidermis, wheel-formed stratum corneum, and low transepidermal water loss, indicating a highly effective barrier. It undergoes maturational changes for months after birth, including a rapid decrease then increase in hydration, decreasing surface acidity with acid mantle development, and appearance of functional toll-like receptors during gestation and postnatally for innate immunity. Infant skin maturation studies have generally focused on epidermal barrier changes. So now I'm going to play some public opinion, and then I'm going to conclude.
What? I thought a ball baby said something. It's giving me major, you bitches babies could never. It's giving me major, my dad had Portuguese. It's giving me major, mommy gonna rap.
I keep telling y'all, colorism, texturism, futurism all starts the day that you were born. These babies be barely out the womb, barely on the earth, and y'all are already being texturists in the hospital room. They be real live obsessed with the thought that their child has good hair, that placenta perm, that wavy, silky hair texture that's not like their hair texture. And then what kills me, these folks be shocked, real life flabbergasted, that their child has the same exact hair texture as them. But everybody want to brush it off as a jokey joke, but we must keep in mind that to every joke lies the truth.
Tips to know the skin color of your baby. Check the color of the ears and cuticles.
Well, hi there, kings and queens. I don't know who needs to hear this, but you don't have to bleach your baby. Like, I can't believe it's 2024 and there's still women who will struggle for 9 months to have a baby and then bleach the child's skin. Like, I don't know if the fashion this day, yes, have it. Yes, skin bleaching might be in fashion for some people, but it possesses so many dangers, especially for young developing skin. It is important to know these side effects so that you know what you're putting into your child. The skin is the largest organ, so it absorbs even more. Using skin bleaching products for your children can cause skin damage, skin cancer, organ damage from kidney, liver. All the important organs can be messed up because of these chemicals, and especially for their mental health. Teaching children that their natural skin isn't beautiful enough can lead to low self-esteem, body dysmorphia, and long-term psychological issues. Our children deserve to grow up loving their natural skin. They do. It's their birthright for us to train them to be healthy and confident in themselves. If you're a mom and you're bleaching your baby, your children, know that you are putting shackles on your children. Even before they can walk or talk, you are chaining them to the big producers of these bleaching cream, because bleaching cream doesn't come from the sky. What comes from the sky? Shea butter. Natural creams that grow, that God created. Those are the things you must nurture your baby with at this age. Please release your children. Release them. Release them from these shackles. And don't start with, I know some people who will be like, oh, my mom bleached me and I'm fine, so I'll bleach my child. Hey, it's a different time now. The sun now is not the same as the sun that was there before. There's global warming. Don't think that because we're in Africa, the heat is the same. It's changing. It's getting even more. And also, the chemicals that your mom used at that time is not today's chemicals. Today's chemicals are...
Or a parent in general, I want you to stitch this with the craziest encounter.
All right, excuse me, y'all. I'm still on vacation, so I'm still in bed. But she goes on to say, like, what's the craziest encounter you've had with your children in public? I have had many, but two of them were the absolute kind of like worst and semi-embarrassing. The first one is when my twins were born. One of them had to go to the NICU and the other one didn't. And the one that had to go to the NICU, my doctor told me, hey, she will be in part A of the NICU because the NICU was separated into two parts. So I went into part A. I showed the lady my wristband. I told her, hey, my baby is in here. And she was like, no, your baby's not in here. You need to check part B because there's no baby that belongs to you in here, basically. So I go to part B and she tells me the same thing. You need to go back to part A. You don't have a baby in here. So I go back to part A, show the lady my wristband again. I had to basically look past her to look for the name tag. Finally see my baby's name tag. And I'll go, that's my baby, over there. That's my baby. She is in here. And she's like, oh, that's your baby? And I was like, yeah, that's my baby. And she was like, let me see your wristband again. I show her my wristband. I had 3 because I had one for me and one for the 2 kids. Show her the wristbands, and she finally lets me in, and she goes, is her father white? is like the baby's father white? And I said, no, he's really light skinned, but he's not white. But I didn't realize that she said that my baby wasn't in here because my babies came out really, really white. I mean, like really, really white. They had like gray eyes. They were like extremely white, pale babies. So she just assumed that because there was no black babies in the NICU, that my baby was not in there. The second time was I was walking in the mall. They were about 7 months old at this time. And I have really curly hair, so they have really, really curly hair also. And they had this big floof of wild curly hair. And this random white guy came up and he just started petting them on the head like you would do a Labradoodle. And I was like, can you please not, touch my kids? I don't know you. Don't touch my kids. And he got so offended. He started cursing me out. We got into this really big fight. Police had to be called. It was a really big thing. So, yeah.
My daughter said something to me this morning that really got me super emotional. But I'm going to try not to get emotional while I'm telling y'all this story. This morning, I'm getting my daughter ready for daycare. And I'm washing her face. I'm getting ready to put Vaseline on. And she was like, no, mommy, I don't want any Vaseline on my face. And I was like, why don't you want Vaseline on your face? And then she was like, well, one of the boys at school said that the Vaseline that you put on my face makes my skin look brown. And I don't want my skin to be brown like yours. And when she said that to me, for one, it just like shocked me. It definitely triggered me because I was her age when kids started talking about my skin tone, calling me names. So it really, really had me sad. I had to sit my daughter down and have this conversation with her again. But the thing is, I always said if I ever have a daughter, I was going to have these conversations about skin tone, hair texture. And I do, especially about skin and hair. So when she said that to me, I just like, I didn't even know what to say. But all I could do as her mother was just sit her down and talk to her and tell her, like, that's first, for one, Vaseline doesn't make your skin change color. Vaseline is going to moisturize your skin and make it look healthy. And after having this talk with her, of course she cried because she didn't know any better, but the fact that colorism is still much alive in kindergarten is really sad. And I know you're probably thinking like, well, colorism never went nowhere. It's not going nowhere. And you're right. It's not going nowhere. But I guess just me being in my own little world and, I don't know. I didn't think that this would happen to my child right now in kindergarten. I don't know. But these conversations, we need to continue.
One thing my dad always told me was, love yourself, Yonkura. Like, your skin is beautiful and you're born with it. God made you that way. So accept it and understand that beauty is not just your skin. It's inner too. So people are going to hate you regardless of what you are. And I hold myself proudly, and I walk in the room. I always make sure to put my head up high and be there and be in the moment because I love myself, and I will always remember. I had a strong mother figure, my grandma and everybody in there. They're all dark skinned. And I'm so glad that growing up, I didn't see my mom go for the bleaching cream. All you can really do is say fuck you to all the haters and just love yourself, really.
Have you heard of the term Sankofa? Sankofa is a concept that originated in Ghana, Africa, and it means we must return and reclaim our past in order to move towards our future. It is an understanding who we were that will free us to embrace who we are now. And that is the basis for decolonizing our parenting. Black people have only been allowed to be parents for the last 159 years. We cannot pretend that enslavement has not impacted us as a people and impacted our parenting. Decolonizing is the way forward. It is how we raise liberated Black children. It is how we become our ancestors' wildest dreams. I'm sure our ancestors did not envision us as Black people using the same techniques that were used against them on the plantation on our children. We have to decolonize our parenting.
Dr. Robert L. Reed, sociologist, takes it a step further. He says, people need to get rid of the idea that we're all Black as a defense against colorism. He reiterated that Blackness is more of a spectrum with data showing that darker people suffer considerably worse treatment than lighter people. Dr. Reese encourages families to acknowledge that colorism is a real problem and must be deliberate about the choices they make, how they speak, and how they engage with children. They have to make a point to give attention to dark-skinned children. People can't assume that they are fair inherently because without deliberate action, people default to subconscious biases, he says. Relatedly, people need to be aware of the media they consume and present to children. Children need to see dark-skinned Black people represented positively in the media so they don't associate dark skin with negative characteristics. Families need to be willing to talk about color and colorism and honestly address troublesome ideas. When children receive color-based bullying, people must address it as such and help their children understand the problem so that they build resilience. I think that overall we have to really be careful about how some things seem innocent and to break a lot of these beliefs that have gone on traditionally in a lot of families. I do think that it's obvious that racism, white supremacy has shaped our perception about how we view our skin. But saying you want to discard a baby because they have darker skin is crazy to me. I don't really know what else to say. I know a lot of people on the internet are disturbed, but I also think it's interesting how this influencer has this whole background story of just being problematic and hurting others. And I really don't think people like that in general deserve children. I'm just going to be honest. But what are your thoughts on this topic? Let me know down below. And thank you so much for listening to Books and Looks TV. I'll see y'all next time.